Hey guys, my name is Nick and welcome back to the channel. And in this video we are going to take a look back at the Adeptus Titanicus Grandmaster Edition and where I've kind of got to. So you might have seen a few videos already just showcasing some of the models from it, but I've done a little bit more and I thought it was time to catch up and see how the rest of the set is looking. So let's get straight into the video. So we're going to kick off looking at the very clever modular terrain set that comes with this. Now I've given it a fairly basic paint job. I mean, it's not the main feature of the game, it's just there to provide line of sight and something to look pretty as Titans fight over it. And you get quite a number of pieces for this. You get several frames, I think about 8 frames worth of terrain. And I'm just sort of going through some of the larger pieces here. But it is very modular, and what I mean by modular is we can break each of these buildings down. So I've got these built up as you can see in these first couple of photos, but these all break down into component parts. You can have them as a single tier, or you can just stack them all together and make as much terrain or as little terrain as you want. So you can make really big buildings or very, very small buildings. Now the paint job that I have done with this, I believe I undercoated with Mechanicus Standard Grey, and then line shaded, very meticulously and very laboriously with Agrax Earthshade. It was then given a dry brush or two-tone dry brush, one of a dark grey and then one of a light grey, and that was pretty much it. The roof sections I did use like a heavy blue grey and then a light dry brush, and then the metallic sections on the roofs, sort of the air vents and aircon units, whatever you want to call them, they were just painted silver and then just given a Nuln Oil wash. And you can see how these all these buildings just basically break down into component parts, and you can build them in pretty much any kind of order you like. And so I've built sort of this large one looking here, so you can run that. That's almost the size of a Warlord Titan, so it's pretty tall when you start putting these together. But then you can just strip them all back down and then have those single story or multi-story or however you want to do it. This is a view from the back. You can see when you build these up, because of the component pieces, some of the doorways look a bit odd, you know, sort of floating up there on the first floor. You can see there's a large doorway. But obviously when you put these together, you'll be a bit more careful. I'm just trying to show you the example here. So with that top tier taken off, you can see that you've got that sort of larger building on the right hand side, then a bunch of smaller bits on the left hand side, and those will break down even further as I just sort of spin through these photographs. Now what I've done is I have painted obviously all the roof sections so that when you do take them apart, there is that uniformity and continuity across the entire terrain feature, and I think that's pretty cool. I was tempted to go through and do some of the brass and gold and all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day I wanted something that looks alright, that isn't going to take forever. It's one of those things where you go, this is good enough. You could add more detail, but at this stage, as far as I was concerned, this was good enough. And I'd love to hear from you in the comment section below, perhaps, if you think I should embellish these a little bit more or just leave them as they are. It'd be good to hear from you. I've tried to look at photographs online. There's not actually that many of painted Adeptus Titanicus terrain that I could really find using Google Foo. It's just the ones on the Games Workshop site, and a couple of other people that have, you know, sort of painted them in sort of tan or dusty style colouring. But I went with that sort of ubiquitous, boring grey, mainly because I had the paints that were available for it, and I thought they'd clash nicely with the colour schemes that I've gone on with the actual models themselves. It provides that sort of nice backdrop. You've got sort of plain drab Imperial style buildings, and then when you come to the actual models, the Chaos Forces or the Heresy Forces versus the Imperial Forces, or Loyalist versus Heretical, depending on your 30k, I guess, point of view. And then that sort of contrasts, as I said, quite nicely. And this last picture then, it just shows everything fully broken down, so you can see all the constituent components. I've built some L shapes and some normal pieces there, and some good variety of buildings. So we can move on from those buildings and just take a look, just as a reminder of the Loyalist forces here. So with this Grandmaster Edition, you've got 2 Warlords and 6 Knights, so you can split them into Heresy Forces and Loyal Forces. And you can see that I've, other than basing the Warlord, because I didn't know on the type of table I was going to do, I haven't based that one yet, but those are the forces. And then combine that, I've nearly, I've started putting together and started the the skeletal works of the Chaos Warlord Titan you can see there, but I have actually finished the Chaos Knights, or the Heresy Knights, and I am painting them in a Legio colour. I am actually going with the scheme of the Legio Furians. Now, I hope I've pronounced that right. I've never been a fan of the traitor forces, to be honest, or the traitor knight forces, or titan forces anyway. But the Legio Furians, there's a couple of reasons for that. I'm a sucker for yellow. Maybe a bit too much yellow between the two forces, but never mind. But I guess the biggest reason is the decal set that comes with this, and with all your Warlords and Reavers and everything else, includes the Legio Furians. So I'm already using the Legio Storm for the Imperial forces, mainly because that's my main Legio. If you've seen all my grown-up knights, the 28mm scale ones, they're all in that scheme, so that was always going to happen. Unfortunately, the decal sheet that comes with this included that Legio. So for the same reason, I'm going with the Legio Furians for the Heresy forces. So there we go then, guys. That is a full roundup, catch-up, if you like, of the Grandmaster edition of my Adeptus Titanicus collection. I have expanded on this, as you would have seen from some of the magnetic guides, those things, with the Warhounds and the Reavers. Games Workshop have just released a bolt-on set of terrain for these, for this game system, which I have procured already, and I'll be taking a look at that and getting those painted up in the same style, pretty much, as the terrain featured in this video. And then I'm going to be looking at either making a board or using a mat. I've still not decided on how I want to pursue this from a table perspective just yet. I'm just enjoying the collection, building the models and giving them a good paint job, and I hope you're enjoying that journey with me. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I shall catch you guys on the next video.